South LA man high fives and donates to the homeless on wild police chase. Breaking news. Stolen vehicle pursuit. Eyewitness news. This is Senator Michela Kavanaugh, D. She has grinded the Nebraska Senate to a halt for 3 weeks and says she won't stop until Republicans drop their bill attacking LGBT youth. I have nothing but time. If you want to inflict pain on children, I will inflict pain on this body. Nebraska lawmaker 3 weeks into filibuster over trans bill. Sally Hafez pretended to be a bank robber in Lebanon to retrieve her own money and to pay for her sister's surgery. Time to walk the plank. Sure, where's his leash? Good one. Your first mate now. I secretly greased the squeaky door hinge to our office. A week went by and someone in a staff meeting said, "Has anyone noticed the door doesn't squeak anymore?" The meeting broke out with everyone freaking out. Some people knew something was different, but couldn't place it. Relief was felt all around and no one has found out it was me. Was at a restaurant and they had a promotion where you got a coupon with purchase of a combo meal that you could scratch or peel off for free food items. Cheap things like drink or muffin. It was 3 in the morning and I was really drunk with a friend and we noticed they had a stack of the coupons right beside the cash, so I pocketed them. We then spent the walk back to his house, 6 or so bulks, slapping these things on people's windshields, mailboxes and such. My entire family forgot my mom's 40th birthday. I was only 11, so I feel that I kind of had an excuse to forget because I was a kid, but I vowed I'd make it up to her on her 50th. Last year, I planned 3 months in advance. I ordered decorations, invited distant family members, rented the venue, called my mom's boss, and got her co-workers on board with the story. The whole 9 to make it the most special surprise birthday ever. I had to lie and tell her a month in advance that I'd have to miss coming home for her 50th birthday because I had some work stuff come up. And I also had my mom's boss tell her there was a mandatory work meeting at the venue I'd rented on her birthday. So she was thinking that on her 50th birthday, her kid wouldn't be able to come home, and she was stuck going to a stupid work meeting. She was heartbroken for a whole month. Her face made it all worth it when she opened the door though. I still get teary-eyed when I watch the video. A friend and I wrote a composition together for a high school music class that was supposed to be an individual work. Her teacher gave her an A and mine gave me a C for the identical piece. I brought up the discrepancy with my teacher, mostly to point out that he was a douche canoe. His response was to correctly point out that what we did was plagiarism and failed us both for the assignment. I approached him later and confessed that she wrote the composition and I copied her work. He said he appreciated my honesty and would restore her mark to an A and allow me to rewrite. We both ended up with A's. I went to the gym, Planet Fitness, and this group of 3 people was ahead of me. Apparently 2 of them were visiting the 3rd person and they decided to go to the gym together. If you have a premium membership you're allowed to bring 1 guest in, and the employee was apologizing for not being able to let all 3 in. They turned to leave, and so I spoke up and said I'd check the 3rd person in. The employee looked stunned at me and said she didn't think that was how it worked. I replied that I had a premium membership and that 3rd person would be my guest. They let the group in. Not sure if chaotic enough, but last week I was going to a bulk food store for discount candy after work, so I printed out a coupon. $3 off a $10 plus purchase, then printed out 4 more copies for other people. Then I gave them to people in the store with large purchases. Cue confusion and excitement. My total ended up being less than $10, so I gave my own coupon to the dude behind me. We had been in a lecture for about 3 hours. Everybody clearly wanted a break, but the lecturer wouldn't let us have one and was pushing on. I downloaded a remote app for my phone and used it to turn the screen off. The lecturer turned it back on and I turned it off again. We all got a 10-minute break while he spoke to the IT department to see what was going on. I was in charge of the kids' department at work once. I was the longest running member of staff there and we had no managers for that department. I was in charge of doing the rota for the day as I knew how it worked and what was needed. Two of my co-workers farted relentlessly when they were both in the same day, and it just so happened to be a quiet day, so I put them both to be on lunch break together, and for me to just be around in one of the not so busy departments. I could trust them both to do their jobs, and as it wasn't busy, they were able to talk and connect all day. They went on lunch together, and they came back together practically holding hands. It was so cute. They dated, not so, secretly for a while, so I like to think I did some good. My male friend was really into my female best friend, but she thought he was kind of nerdy or just otherwise unnoticeable. I kept dropping subtle hints that I found him attractive, eventually, perhaps unconsciously, getting her to agree. I then convinced her to ask him to the winter dance. They dated for 3 years and lost their virginities to each other before going separate ways in college. I was waiting at a restaurant register to pay for a sandwich. Sandwich was in hand. I was super hungry, just wanted to get rung up so I could stuff my face. The place was busy, and once 5 minutes passed and I was still waiting, I decided to just leave without paying. I walked for about a minute and crossed paths with a homeless guy who was panhandling. I heard I'm hungry, just need some money for food, and figured he needed my stolen sandwich more than I did, so I gave it to him and continued on my way, still hungry as duck. Back in high school, we were begging our teacher to let us out early seeing as it was the last period before winter break. He was a new teacher, so after some whining, he goes down the hall to his supervisor to ask if it would be alright while he's gone. I stick my head out the door then turn back to tell the class he says it's okay. Obviously that was all the class needed to hear, and we were all leaving the building by the time our teacher realized what the duck was going on. No one ended up getting punished for it. I had a terrible roommate. He was messy as hell, and I finally had enough and moved out. I tried to sublet my place out. 2 people refused because of my roommate and his mess. Donated my room to the homeless shelter and wrote it off on my taxes for the remaining 4 months of the lease. My former roommate was not pleased. His new roommates didn't complain. I had neighbors for about a year that mistreated their dogs. We live in the south, and it wasn't uncommon for them to leave them outside all day long while they were at work chained up and without any water. During the summer, they did it almost every day, so I stole their dogs and gave them to my friend's dad because he had a lot of property and treated his dogs like royalty. As an employee of a financial institution with a pretty bad rep, state and federal laws equals unbreakable, company guidelines equals flexible. I have thankfully been able to work with people a lot when it comes to things like payment extensions or a scheduling and such, so long as there's no added interest or fees and things like that to break compliance. Can't outright tell people what to ask for in these cases, but plenty of instances of so what you're saying is, or so it would help you out a lot if, and so on. I don't feel great about keeping paper money that other people lose on the ground, so if I find a bill in a busy public area where there's little chance of getting it back to the owner, I usually fold it up neatly and hide it in a weird spot for attentive people to discover. Me and the homies, after framing a homeless man for murder so he has somewhere warm to stay. They let me have the tattoo gun LMRO. Any suggestions? Ignore the bad work I just started tattooing. Printed a bunch of P-Touch labels with random IP addresses and now driving around town sticking them on the air fresheners in public restrooms. A guy in New York City lost his wallet then got this letter in the mail. Dear Lee Flaherty, I found your wallet and your driver's license had your address, so here's your credit cards and other important stuff. I kept the cash because I needed the Metro card because well the fare's $2.75 now and the wallet cause it's kinda cool. Enjoy the rest of your day. Tittles. Anonymous. Venmo. 6 minutes ago. Ethan paid you $7. Chipital 9th grade. Your Venmo balance is now $7. My friend I haven't talked to in years just paid me back for Chipital from 7 years ago. Chaotic good. As a knight, the king said, "It is your duty to kill dragons." "Very well, my liege," the knight said. May I ask why?" "Because they hoard wealth without sharing, and people live in fear of their capricious moods." "Very well, my liege," the knight said, and drew his sword. Florida man stops street fight by running everyone over. Ah yes, the negotiator. The epitome of chaotic good. Brazilian dog dealer kidnaps medical staff, makes them vaccinate community against yellow fever. Okay, here's the full story. Some hacker used my credit card to buy a TV from my Best Buy account and left their name and address in the order details. After careful consideration on the best possible way to ruin their day, the same way they ruined mine, I have decided to send them 1. A spring-loaded glitter bomb filled with the finest of glitter. 2. A bag of gummy nuts for them to eat, and because they were smart enough to also leave their full name, I'm sending her a gift basket of adult toys addressed from your secret lover, in hopes her husband sees it. Hope she's married. And I'm also generously gifting her a mail subscription to XXX furry postcards. Small price to pay for stealing my money in my opinion. Enjoy. For those of you who don't know, I work at an anarchist co-op coffee shop. Apparently, all the Chicano/Cholo boys in my neighborhood have caught on to the fact that I sneak food and stuff to all the little punk kids and homeless kids at the coffee shop. There are 3 in particular who call me Mom. Not Mammy, not Ma, Mom. The rest refer to me as Miss. They've decided to always have one of the 3 of them there with me on my night shifts. Especially after they witnessed the last bad shift, where I had to kick a bunch of tweakers out. Said tweakers lit my ducking bulletin board on fire. Tonight, one of the boys actually charged up a crickhead who wouldn't get out when I told him to leave. About an hour later, I was emptying bus tubs when that same lovely boy walked in and wetted a wash rag. I asked what he was doing, and he told me not to worry. So, I went about my business, doing dishes, bussing the main dining tables, etc. I'd left a broom in the snow skiing room and a fresh trash bag in the bathroom for once I was done with the dishes. When I walked out, everything was spotless and the trash had been replaced. He'd wiped all my tables, swept, mopped, and emptied all the ashtrays. He'd also picked the lock on the bathroom, so his friend could take out the trash for me, which I'm not sure whether I should scold him for. Haha, they snuck around and did my closing shift duties to thank me for keeping them warm and fed. I'm ducking crime. Kindness begets kindness. Picking a lock so you can take out trash for someone who's nice to you is the most chaotic good thing I've ever heard. I stole 3 years of data from an energy company that was illegally changing records of their clients' lab test results. I then submitted this data to the Department of Environmental Management and the company is now bankrupt. He got drunk and emailed his teacher. His teacher actually responded, "Mr. Martin, just letting you know that you are a mother ducking, and I'm sorry that you are bald. Lol. If you want I can hook you go with a girl who can get her hair back and keep you dangin'. Also I just needed to ask you for an extension on my paper. I'm really ducked right now and will be sick as duck tomorrow. Keep slaying boy and forgot to do school loop again. Love you and see you Monday. Good duckin' yard. Patrick Davidson. Sent from my iPhone. Patrick. Sounds like you had a great night. I will extend your paper deadline to Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. It must be submitted to turnitin.com. Please refer to my syllabus for information on how to submit your paper. I appreciate your concern for my bald head. My wife likes it, and I don't get paid enough to get hair implants. On a side note, what were you drinking last night? Next time you email me, I'd like a bottle of whatever you had, so I don't have to remember what you said. Good yard, Mr. Martin. So this isn't necessarily dark, but it's definitely odd. I want to open a school for gold diggers. Basically take in women/men who have no ambitions further than marrying rich and teach them everything that the perfect assistant/wife/husband of a rich man/woman needs to know how to do. Things like household management, handling of appointments, memos, calls, etc. Get them work as assistants/secretaries to practice, and then when they graduate and are like, finally I can go get a husband/wife. I can be like, surprise. You're an extremely qualified executive assistant. Now go support yourself. Just trick people who have no ambition/confidence in their skills into becoming highly qualified professionals. Chaotic good. So I went into work today to check up on my store and they took all the water I had outside my store. Understandable, everyone needs water, and I had almost 107 to 11 park and probably 40 of Aquafina outside, and then when we looked into the store I find this. They left me 620 in cash. Different people. I was like, wow, my store made $620 when it was closed. My professor LMFAOO. A few of you have talked to me about having trouble getting some of the books for this course. The university is adamant that you purchase textbooks through the official university bookstore. Beware of sites that promise and deliver free PDFs of all kinds of books, such as. These sites might seem perfectly helpful in that they deliver exactly what they promise, but they are also free. I can't remember what I was saying. Anyway. If you're looking for the grey bike, I stole it back. It was mine. Photos plus serial number to prove. So long, snacker. Haha, loser. I'll never forget 5th grade. For some reason, all the urinals in the boys' bathroom were in stalls. This kid David would always stick his head under the stall and say, haha, I can see you paying. It drove my friend Jeremy insane. He eventually told David, if you do that again, I'll pee on your face. And then and behold, about 3 weeks later, David zooms into class crying his little eyes out screaming, Jeremy peed on my face. The teacher shocked says, Jeremy, is this true? And he casually goes, yeah. He kept sticking his head under the stall when I was trying to go to the bathroom. David got sent to the principal and Jeremy got off scot-free. Sweet justice. I was once annoyed at myself for being obsessed with soap making for 3 straight months and making way too much soap, but now I'm not. I can give heaps of soap to everyone in a 20-mile radius of me, and I have plenty of precious little eggs from my illegal chickens. Only the neighbors who didn't snitch to the homeowner association get free eggs though. Bet you wish you had some fresh eggs right now, huh, Richard? Chaotic good LMAO. I remember the first time I asked my dad to sign something for me in high school. He shook his head and said, if I sign this, you're going to have to learn how to forge my signature. If you sign it from the start, you'll be able to sign whatever you want, and they'll never know. I don't know whether to award him Dad of the Year or not. Hacked a school computer, left a note that I had hacked it, and what I could see. The next week, machine was no longer on the network. They had every single student's SSNs, links to ID photos and a public directory, and full contact details unprotected in a Microsoft Access database. How did I hack it? I used Microsoft Remote Desktop to log into what I thought was my assigned machine in another lab using the default student account. It was not the machine I thought it was. In college, one of the RAs in my dorm created a seasonal/temporary bulletin board. Physical board, not an internet thing, called a Grievance board. I believe the concept was humorous and based on something from Seinfeld, which may give you an idea of how long ago I went to college. The idea was that people would anonymously post their grievances about their fellow dorm mates in a theoretically good-natured manner. The reality ended up being that, while some of it was well-spirited, it ended up devolving into a platform for harassment of specific people, and while no one would admit publicly to having their feelings hurt, several different people admitted to me and another friend privately that it made them feel really awful. So one day me and that friend set an alarm for 3:30 AM, snuck to the board, and quietly took the whole thing down, leaving a typed anonymous message in its place that, while we appreciated the spirit in which the board was intended, it was causing more harm than good. Worked as the IT guy for a think tank in DC. Had to support a multi-user CP/M dinosaur. This was a long time ago, but not so long ago as to make that computer even vaguely appropriate to still have in service. Suggested PCs instead, and was told we were going to use the dinosaur until it died. Waited a couple of weeks, then yanked the 10 MB Bernoulli floppy drives out in mid-boot, utterly destroying them. Reported the catastrophic failure, irreparable. Ordered new PCs for everyone the day after. I worked at Sears in the hardware department. This guy came in with some broken Craftsman tools to exchange them for new ones via a limited lifetime warranty. One of his tools were out stock, so I let him take the premium equivalent of the tool. Then, I decided, duck it, and I let him trade all of his old tools for new premium ones. I even let him trade in an expensive torque wrench, which is not under warranty. The guy walked out with probably $300 to $400 in tools. Was it the right thing to do? Probably not, but the management treated me like dirt, and I'm sure that I made that guy's whole week. I was working at a pizza place. I got an order for $75 worth of food. The customer walked in when it was about done. At first I thought she was mad because she wasn't responding to me. I asked her what was wrong. She broke down crying. Her house had just burned down. She had nothing. Her and her 5 kids were living with her mom. I gave her a hug and talked to her for a bit. When she left I cancelled her order and put the money back on her card. She realized what I did a few days later and sent me a very heartwarming letter. Basically pulled a Ferris bueller to help my buddy's girlfriend get out of school. We were college freshmen at the time, and she was a high school senior, and she really wanted to surprise her boyfriend for his birthday at college, since they were doing the long distance thing. So I took the day off from classes and drove up to her school a couple hours away. She had already come up with a doctor's excuse, but I called the front office to verify it, and they let her go. Don't know if they actually believed it, or just didn't care, but I stayed in the car with shades on to keep up appearances in case they were watching. Thankfully, since we left so early we were able to make it back in time to surprise my buddy for his birthday. Feel like I did some good, because they ended up staying together through high school and into college and now they are married.